You know, Eagles fans fell fast in love with quarterback Carson Wentz, appreciating his blue-collar mentality. His teammates and coaches, as you can hear, admire it too. Head coach Doug Peterson telling us during last season how contact doesn't faze Wentz. He gets hit, comes back to the sideline and says, "What's next?" Well, after spending the Super Bowl on the sideline nursing his torn ACL, perhaps time to rethink all of that. Sal Paolantonio sat down with the quarterback yesterday.
You asked for it, you got it. Here he is.
That's some fun today, huh? Why not? He fires complete. Touchdown.
Carson, how you feel?
Feel good. Feel good.
You look great.
Thank you. Yeah, things are going well.
You want to get back week one. Why?
Yeah, I mean, that's just my goal. You know, my goal is to not miss a game. I feel I missed plenty last year. I want to be out there with the guys, but you know, it's a fluid process. We'll see what happens, but I'm confident that I'll be back week one and ready to play against Atlanta on Thursday night. And again, rehab, everything's been going well. Feeling great, progressing right along. And again, time will tell. You know, it's a fluid process, but I'm confident. I'm believing that week one is a good target date.
You and I just walked over here. I didn't see any lip. How much running are you doing?
We're progressing through it. Progressing through the running's a full-on progression, and same with taking drops and the whole 9 yards. So we've been progressing through it wisely. You know, I'm always gotta listen to the doctors and the trainers to be wise, because you might be feeling good, but they gotta draw the line sometimes.
And the game is over! The game is over! The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions!
How important do you think, looking back now at that whole Super Bowl experience, was it for you to be engaged with Nick Foles in the quarterback room, helping him?
Yeah, I think it was huge for me just to learn and see kind of the Super Bowl unfold, the playoffs, all of that. But more than anything, I think it was just big for me, just because that's I just want to be a part of it. You know, I want to be a part of it. I want to help. I didn't view it as a selfish thing. I wanted to be engaged. I wanted to do what I could, and in that time, that season of life, my job was to help prepare Nick. You know, it was not to be the guy out there, and it also helped me just to kind of take a broader look at kind of life and get a new perspective of things. That at the end of the day, God's got a plan, and His plan wasn't for me to stand up there in my shoulder pads that year, and that's great, because at the end of the day, God still got the glory through Nick and Coach Peterson standing on that platform.
But let's keep it real here, right? I mean, you and Nick are close, but you probably said to him, I'm looking for my job back, okay, right? At some point, right? Or he can feel it, he knows it's happening.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about Nick and I, there's always, from the outside, people are going to naturally think there's internal conflict, there's this or that.
I don't think there's internal conflict, knowing you two guys, but there's got to be a point where he knows that you didn't want your job back.
Yeah, I mean, naturally. I think we both know our roles coming in from last year.
Sure.
And he knows that, we know that. I love Nick to death, and he was an awesome backup, and then an awesome starter once I went down. But again, I think we all know our roles, and it creates friendly, healthy competition to some extent as well. But yeah, I think we handled it as well as we could have, and going forward, I don't expect it to be any issue.
And he's in trouble. Wentz will be escaping from the 18-yard line. How in the world did that happen?
The whole world's going to be watching number 11 this summer. You know that. Every step you take. You ready for that? You getting yourself ready for that?
Yeah, I've been getting ready since I was young. I think...
but coming back from the injury is what I'm saying. It's like, what's Carson up to? What's he doing? When's he going to throw? When's he going to practice? When's he going to play? I mean, it's going to be constant.
That's just life. That's just life. All eyes are on us, whether we're hurt and recovering, whether we're active, whether we're
But this is different.
out and about.
Coming back from a major injury.
For sure.
Or super
But I don't let it be anything different.
Okay.
I don't approach it differently. Just handle my business the way I do, and I believe, and I'm believing, and I'm confident that I will be back and I will be healthy and better than ever. And the Lord's taking care of the rest.
So you and Doug, we were just chatting in Novacare for a second. Did he have that quote unquote sit down with you about trying to, hey, take it easy a little bit out there, don't be so aggressive, protect the bod, protect the franchise?
Yeah, I mean, the quote unquote sit down happens every day.
Okay.
There's little things that we both.
Well, he said, I'm gonna have a sit down with Doug.
Yeah, I mean we've talked about it quite a bit. I've talked with him, I've talked with press, I've talked with Coach Groh. I think we're all on the same page. You know, there's always
What
things.
page is that?
I think there's always things that I can learn from. Okay, maybe I shouldn't have been so aggressive there, and there's a time and a place for it. You know, and injuries happen. Injuries. You know, I believe this one was kind of a freak incident, and that's just part of the game. But there's always a learning curve. But overall, as an aggressive player and everything, like, I'm not going to change in that sense. I'm just going to keep learning. I'm going to be learning how to preserve myself, how to be smart, when to take those chances, when it's worthwhile, and it's a constant learning that'll happen throughout my whole career. But it's definitely something I'm taking seriously at the same time.
How to preserve yourself sounds good in an interview in May as we welcome you into the Verizon film room. You know, during this season, Doug Peterson was trying to explain to us just how he kind of adapted the offense for Wentz, and he said he went all the way back to his high school film to see how he played even back then, and he described it as carefree but not reckless. This is his style. Is it realistic to think anything can change?
Well, I think the way Carson answered the question was great in terms of, you know, knowing when to be aggressive and knowing when you have to kind of take your foot off the gas. And, you know, reference him in high school. Well, in college, he was more of a runner in college than he was a passer. And then you look at the beginning of this season when he's playing. This is week 1. The difference for the Philadelphia Eagles in terms of winning and losing games early in the season was this right here. His athleticism, his ability to make plays like that. You don't want to take that away. And so then you fast forward to the next time they play the Washington Redskins. And I think John Gruden called him Houdini after this. And so you don't always want to give yourself up as a quarterback because you're trying to not get injured or not be hurt because you're trying to extend plays. Or this one on the road against Seattle that, quite honestly, I don't know if there's another quarterback in the league can make that type of throw. And so you see that and you say, the last thing Doug Peterson wants is to remove that from their offense. He's what makes them special when it comes to that. I think what you want, and this is what he's talking about in terms of learning, and this is how coaches coach it, less adventure on throwaways. If you're going to throw it away, less adventure. Like, we don't need you to get hit on a throwaway. Yeah. We're going to get hit on something like that, fine. But
get down on a run, get out of bounds on the sideline, be smarter, right? Things like that.
But even getting down on a run, Adam, I mean, you look at the second play against the Redskins, you think, hey, listen, you got guys around you, guys around your legs. Hey, you want to go down. Or the play where he was injured. I mean, he's trying to score. You know, so there's certain elements that I think just are probably in his nature of being a competitor.
You don't want to take the Wentz out of Wentz.
No.
And those are the kinds of plays that you've seen from quarterbacks over time. Steve Young, John Elway.
Right.
You can't tell them to change their style of play.
The best example of someone who people have tried to coach out of it is Ben Roethlisberger. Ben Roethlisberger was, look, that's why Bruce Arians ultimately, they moved on from him. It was hey, let's get the ball out of Ben's hand, distribute. But how many times have we sat here and said, that's Ben being Ben, you know, and talked to defenders about how hard he's.
But he was more protected than Todd Haley.
He 100% was, and it helped him. But it's hard to get to that point.
And look at the numbers. For all of the ways we're talking about Carson Wentz alter his playing style, Cam Newton was still hit
way more.
132 more times than Carson Wentz.
Yes, and welcome North Turner.
And by the way, we've heard the same conversation about Cam Newton changing his style of play.
That's right.
And he hasn't.
Well, Russell Wilson is also high on that list, and it's also about the egregious way of which a guy goes down. And I mean, Robert Griffin III was horrible at sliding. Like, he would take hits on such unnecessary contact where I don't feel like it's as egregious when it comes to Carson Wentz.
Okay, that's just part of the conversation, by the way. Don't miss part 2 with Sal's conversation with Carson Wentz. That comes your way tomorrow on NFL Live. Sal digs deep into the roots of Wentz and his biggest focus for next season. And